Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome, awesome. So let me just introduce myself. Vivek Choudaha here. I manage the retail practice for Cognizant. 28 years in the industry, guys. But all along, I've been fortunate to work with big retailers like Walmart, for example. Nothing can be bigger than that. But I've been working with retail and CPG clients all my life. My job is to bring the technology or the innovation as it happens to our partners and make sure they are getting the benefit out of it. That's my job. That's what I think I try to do. And I'll hand it over to Sunthar for his introductions.
Right. Thanks, Vivek. I'm audible? Perfect. Sunthar here. I'm part of Cognizant IoT Sustainability Service Line Practice, if I had to say that way. What we do is bring, again, technology specifically for the retail, specifically for the consumer goods, in terms of what we can do different, what we can actually do, getting your data and value out of it, take it as a physical device or a data which is not from physical but virtual. Doing intelligent work from what we already have is more important. That's what I do. I'm here to talk about a little on what retail actually been doing from all this new tech stack, jargons that we've been hearing. Back
Awesome.
to you.
Thanks, Sundar. So I'll start with a question, and hopefully some of you can answer it. The question is, I'll repeat it. Mysterious advancements that catapulted into a popular curiosity, and then pretty soon it became everybody's main job, like all the business leaders and also the political leaders, they have picked up as main job. What is that? It started with mysterious advancement, catapulted to a popular curiosity, and now it's become the job of every business head and the political heads. Well, very close is Gen AI, right? Of course. So this session is about Gen AI, but not so much about Gen AI. So, 2018, when Sundar Pichai came in Google Next, and what he started talking about was, as you write the sentences in the email, it auto-corrects and auto-populates some of it, right? That was 2018. And we all were very excited about it. Hey, come on, I have to type a few and then, it's going to finish it. That was such an excitement state. Fast forward 5 years later, now we can just write a prompt, and then a whole essay is written for you, right? I mean, it is amazing the way things have changed in the last 5 years. I talked to Alexa, and once, it's maybe a few days back, I said namaste to Alexa, which is, Hindi way of saying hello. And then Alexa for sure started talking to me in Hindi. I mean, automatically. I didn't have to change the settings. I didn't have to do anything. And then now, me and Alexa probably have some moments together where she can obviously tell me a joke and I listen to it. And it's in all my vernacular, right? It's amazing the way things have changed. Copilot is my best friend now, because if I'm late in a meeting, Copilot summarizes everything for me within seconds. And it's really, really helping me. Gemini, for example, I type something. I don't have to go through all the search results. And I'm sure all of you are doing is just looking at the summarization that gets presented itself, and 80% of what you're looking for is there, right there. You don't have to waste time going through all the details of, which link is better and all those things. So things have changed dramatically over the years, right? We all know that. Now, Elon Musk started Neuralink. That was 20 years back. His vision was, someday, we are going to marry the human brains with chips and then make a superhuman out of it. Now, that's a reality right now, right? The regular computing became quantum computing, and then over the years, it has become this neuromorphic computing, where we can harness the power of machines, and then humans can become intelligent. So the singularity, as we used to call it, it's near, guys. It's almost happening. So as we move through this, I'll probably stand, and some of you have probably know this guy, Ray Kurzweil. He's the guy who's in 205, wrote a book called Singularity is Near. And then last year, which is the beginning of this year, he wrote another book, which is Singularity is Nearer. And then I'm sure he's going to write a book, which is Singularity is Here pretty soon. So what I'm trying to say is, all the big wigs out there knows that this is happening. Now, one of the things which if you read the book, he talks about how this is going to impact the employees, how that's going to impact the organizations, and are we really ready for it right now? And the day is not far away where we are going to be doing this, right? We are competing with machines right now, and machines are going to take up the jobs, and we all know that. Now, there are hundreds of research that's happened which says, what's the actual impact of this? We know some of the jobs are going to get impacted more than others. We also know that AI is going to create multiple new jobs. I mean, one of the studies, 97 million of new jobs are going to get created. Come on, the extent of this is amazing. Now, if you see on the right side, the chart says the jobs that require higher level of education is going to be impacted most. Now, that's amazing, right? I mean, you do your studies, you go to the higher level of education, but lo and behold, your jobs are going to get impacted because machines are going to take over. So, I mean, there's various studies that was done. Now, how are we going to prepare ourselves for that, right? Now, we started looking at it from a different angle, from Cognizant perspective. We thought, yes, there's so much of speculations going around here. Can we really put pen to paper and figure out what's actually going to be true? What we did, we partnered with Oxford Economics. That is a partnership that is going on for many, many years. But we came together last year and we said, let's figure out a way to see how this new world is going to get created and how the new work is going to get impacted because of that. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but what we did was we started with the US Department of Labor. Now, they have the database for 20 years. What we went through was thousands of occupations that constitute of almost 1,800 unique tasks. What we did with those data was, again, we applied the machine learning algorithms, right, to figure out what AI is going to do in future, and we created something called maximum exposure score. We went through multiple cycles. We started putting the BAS diffusion mechanism, figured out when an innovation happens, what's the extent of the innovation, how it's going to get impacted. We also do surveys. We figured out two things. What's the impact on productivity, and what's the impact on the employment, right? This is the impact we figured out. 1 trillion in productivity growth. These numbers are exponentially increasing as we go through it. But more than that, we all agreed that it's going to impact. We believe that 90% of the jobs as they exist today are going to get impacted, not in 20 years, 30 years, within 8 years of the time. And then, of course, 9% of the workforce at least will get displaced. Now, these numbers are amazing and mind-boggling from anybody's perspective. Now, look at this chart. 1 trillion, as I said, is the productivity that we are going to see. Now, that constitutes the overall productivity of US construction industry. I mean, listen to this statement, right? This is staggering from that perspective. And this growth is happening within years. Another data point. 10.2% productivity increase of every individual. That's what we are thinking about. Now, again, if you put in the context of the number of people, this is again amazing, right? Another thing, nearly half of the industries are going to embrace Gen AI within 8 to 10 years. Now, this number can almost become 100%, and we know that is happening. Everybody in this world is talking about Gen AI. That's in every industry, every business segment is going to embrace this. Absolutely, yes. I'll give you 2 more data points, and I'll let Sunthar talk about retail, how it's going to change the retail. Now, this is a chart. You should look at it very carefully. Now, today, as we sit in, when you see at the 31% at the bottom left, 31% of the jobs are not impacted today, maybe 0 to 5%. That number changed to 10%. Only the 10% of the jobs by 2030 may not be impacted, but the rest of 90%, as I said earlier, are going to get impacted. In fact, 15 to 20% of the jobs are going to be impacted by more than 50%. Again, big numbers to look at as we go through this journey. I'll show you a chart which is it's not coming up properly, but what you see on the left side is the exposure that we see against the, number 3 is the chart where it talks about the mathematicians and the computer science engineers. They are going to get impacted pretty heavily. But what you don't see on the bottom right is the friction score. That means even if they are impacted, because they are low on the friction score, these guys have the ability to find another job and pivot to a different job stream, right? That's very important to realize. If you look at number 17 there, It's all about the admin staff. Now, these guys may not be impacted so much, but their ability to find the new jobs is not there so much, right? Because those are the guys we need to worry about as to if their job profile is going to change and if GenAI is going to take their jobs, are they ready to pivot to a different world altogether, right? So these are important data points. I'll come for the summarization, but Sunthar, I'll hand it over to you to talk a little bit on what you're seeing on the retail side, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vivek. I'd like to start with a question first, right? Easy way to go, to break the ice. How many of you believed or still believe that AI or Gen AI is taking away our job? Don't have to be shy. Raise your hand if you believe or still believe. Right. The answer is no. Here's what I believe, or many speakers in the past, in the whole day session, you would have heard, AI is not replacing your job. The human with AI is going to be replacing the one without. Agree? I'm going to give examples around what my statement is, how we are picturizing this, and also the study that Vivek mentioned about. Oxford Economics is talking about not an AI replacement of one person. It's a task, right? Think about it. Some of the slides I'm going to talk or present here is all going to take hours together to put together the points, get the content, get a view, and to present, right? Agree? I just asked the Gen AI to do it for me. A 4-hour job has become a 30 minutes work for me. Am I equipped well? Am I doing the productivity my organization is asking me to do? Of course, yes. That's what is going to be replacement for the future. That's what we are envisioning. So, point in case, within retail, if you look at what is the context of what are the functions that you need to consider for the tasks that are getting automated, that are going to be replaced in the future, of course, with the human in the loop. That's what we have to consider, right? Here are some examples I'd like to highlight. In the business, within retail, take it as a product development. Whether you are actually producing a new product or relaunching a product, the understanding about is how is the content which you already have and you need to create could be done faster. Today, organizations are generating new ingredients, new variations, new labels, new package, all in a faster way. You heard about that. Either it's a Gen AI or the artificial intelligence coming in and actually doing that for you. That's one way many organizations are looking at leveraging content creation. No more about video or just text creation. You heard that from all the speakers from the morning. Organizations are not focusing on those low-hanging fruit, but the higher end. Look at some of the Oxford Economics study and information that they are looking at. The highest percentage of investment organizations are looking is about, can I look at generating new revenue for my business? Can I look at creating new test solutions in an automated way for my business? Can I reuse all the content that I can actually give a simple task for my customers to get the answers faster, not have a human sit behind and then give the answers for them? The expectation is different, not the lower end percentage which you see there down, not the image creation, not the text creation. That's a more critical, important change the retail businesses are looking at incorporating into their organization. The list does not stop here. I'm going to go walk into a couple of more examples about how within the inventory organization, how are they looking at doing this task reduction? What are the kind of tasks, right? I'm going to walk onto it. But what I wanted to make it real is, these are all not just use cases that I'm talking about that are possible. These are the use cases that businesses are already implementing across different, right? Example at Walmart. They are talking about introducing, or rather, sorry to say that, using Gen AI already in their customer experience in the sales area. Target, for example, they are enabling all their employees. How do they actually enable them to give a better customer experience at the store? They're looking at ways and they're investing heavily into it. These are all being published research which tells that organizations are investing. Take it as warehouse. PepsiCo is trying to look at how do I do increased productivity in my organization in the warehouse, right? So JCPenney, the same way. On the supply chain, how can I actually do my route optimization in a faster way, knowing my demand and how I can actually get the intelligence together? Let the Gen AI give me the answers faster. That's happening in real. So that's what we have to look at. I'm not going to walk through all the individual job roles that are going to be impacted. But what I would say is, we are here just behind this booth. We have our QR code just listed here. Not just this information, but the detailed job assessment is being, the joint exercise that we did with Oxford Economics is there for your consumption. Just scan this QR code. You have the details for you, right? You can grab it from there. So moving forward, I want to touch base on just one more. Out of all the job functions we decided, look at how organizations, especially in the retail function, is looking at. There is a huge customer-facing business that we are looking at, what we otherwise call it as customer service representative. Think about, the information that the team who's front-ending facing the customer have to provide. Many of them are repeated information, right? Simple script for a simple query, asking about what's my product, do you have an availability, what is the launch date you have, anything that can come in as a question, right? All these questions have a pretty much a standard common answer. Or not even a question, a complaint. A customer is complaining about a product that they bought, they wanted to be replaced, whatnot, right? It has a standard operating procedure. How do you handle this complaint? None of this needs to have a human to answer to that. Now, way organizations are looking at is how can I enable my customer service team that can handle 5 different complaints coming to them using the Gen AI. That's a human plus AI combination that they are looking at. So what does that mean for us? You have an huge iceberg that you need to lift to have the shiny object on the top. Organizations are investing and upskilling their resources. The first and primary important step for anybody to do, right? Organizations are not just looking at this. Look at the comparison between the right and the left. 54% is looking at training their internal resources. They're not looking at just going and building this capability from outside. 37% is trying to look at, okay, I don't have my team trained. I wanted to probably hire the one which is ready and then bring that. That's not huge, which means the shift is happening already in the organization. They're thinking about it. For you, it's important when you are trying to have your organization support, do you have this framework of pillars that you can enable your users to have it, right? So that they can do a better job. That's a way to look at. The list goes on. Can I actually partner with somebody? Can I partner with the university? The list goes on. But the answer on the top is about your own internal organizational change. Having your employees and resources enabled with the tools and systems that are needed to do that. Those are the key factors organizations are looking at. Now, last I want to leave it with a question again. How many of you have actually exposed yourself to Gen AI or AI, trying to use some functions to test it out, validate it? Is it helping me in your day-to-day job? Raise your hand if you're using it. All right, here is a tool I want to leave it. It's nothing, we are not affiliated, we are not promoting any of this tool. Just go to the website, search paperpal.com, especially for the university students, if at all you are here. You can get the link of a research paper which was published by your previous researchers. With the date and citation, you can leverage that into your own publishing paper. Why is it important? Today, without research and development, we can't just solve any problem. And this PaperPal is an Gen AI tool which helps you to bring this all intelligent content to your fingertip to your benefit, right? Either you are writing in your academics or also using for your business. The second tool I wanted to probably leave it here is all these pictures and diagram you saw here, which I promised that I said we build it through Gen AI. It's a tool which is available for free of use for many of you called napkins.com. Just go and put a bunch of text, 50 to 100 text, what you want. And then just say, create a diagram for me, create a picture for me. It converts it for you. Is it not what we want? If I had to think and create it in a pictorial way, we are kind of going to need time. We need the designers. I'm not taking away a designer job, but I'm taking myself the time to learn a new tool, get ourselves intelligent. So the takeaway we wanted to give it here and ask my partner to conclude is, Gen AI is not taking out anyone's job, right? We need to get ourselves up on that place to help ourselves and our organization. Vivek.
Thank you, Sundar. So one, I need to get hold of that particular tool set, which is helping you in creating this PPT. Because I did spend some time on this one, right? At least my portion of it. But no, the idea of us presenting this to all of you was that we have, as an organization, which is a 350,000 people worldwide, we believe technology is something that has enabled businesses in the past. We now believe technology is something which is going to lead the business in the future and not just enable, transform the business. Because we have the power that is available for all of us, and we can see that every company, including Walmarts of the world, which is the largest company, calls themselves as a technology company. Because they all believe this is going to change the way they do business with all of us, right? So that's important to understand. Now, knowing all this, knowing we went through this cycle of 1 year research with Oxford Economics, these are the 4 key takeaways they have come up with as to how we prepare ourselves for the change that is inevitable, right? Now, take care of the people, easier said than done. What they actually mean is, we know that the layoffs are inevitable. We know that the change in the way you do your job is going to happen. What we need to do is reskill our people, retrain them, make sure they understand that if you don't fall in line, you are going to be left behind. But who's going to do this for them? Organizations themselves have to take this baton and run with it. We have done ourselves a favor in Cognizant. 350,000 workforce, we know needs to be more productive than what they were in the past because the tools are there. If we enable them with the tools, what are they going to do with the rest of their time? Because now their work profile is changing. They need to be reskilled, trained, so that we can continue to deliver ourselves to our customers. So number 1 is take care of your people. Number 2 is innovate or stagnate. And I really like what Sunthar was saying. Guys or the people, humans with Gen AI are going to change or replace people or humans without Gen AI. Again, it is inevitable. You got to innovate. You got to work, adapt to the new ways of working which Gen AI is bringing. If you don't, you are going to be left behind. And you don't want to be stagnating there, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is build confidence with transparency. This is absolutely the most important thing, right? You got to do the change management, and through change management and transparency, you can commit people, right? That's the most important thing. So, everybody talks about ethical AI and multiple other things, but those are the most important thing. If we don't make sure that the Gen AI model, which is a large language model, which is happening somewhere in between, what is it going to do with the data and how is it going to project the data? You got to really understand that, because that's the only way you can trust what's the output of Gen AI is. So you got to make yourself educated, your team educated. So with transparency, you will build the confidence. That's number 3. And the last but not the least, is all about what are we giving back to the society. Right? When we talk about sustainability and we talk about net zero, people know we are going to spend so much effort here because we are going to secure our future generation because of the change which we are going to make it happen on ensuring net zero world or planet. Now, the same thing you got to apply to Gen AI. We know there is a productivity to be had, but what are we going to do with that productivity is the most important thing. Maybe make a 4-day week, because now the guys are more productive. They can do a better balance between work and life. So why do we have to spend 5 days now to work? That's one of the biggest way of doing this is whatever benefits we are reaping from Gen AI, we got to put it back to the society. The multiple ways of doing it. If the organization is saving millions of dollars because of this, why not commit to spending 30% of that savings back to the society? There are ways of doing it, but what I'm trying to get to it is put it to good use. Because if we are able to do that, obviously that's where the money is, right? So thank you all for listening to this. I know there were not a lot of people, but I hope we were able to convey the message to all of you. And if there are any questions, I'm happy. I just want to call out 2 things. Sundar said, if you're interested in getting to the details of the presentation, please come to our booth next door, and we will hook you up, and you can download the paper full output of what we did. And the second is we are doing a 2.0 version. Next year in the World Economic Forum, where our CEO will be there, Ravi, his name is Ravi. We are going to do a refresh of this because we see it's not going to be enough. Every month, every week, things are changing. So we want to do another refresh within a year. And we're going to present that paper, and hopefully it will convey some different meaning next year. So thank you all for listening. If there are questions, we are happy to take. Otherwise, Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, we don't want to be stopping you.
Here we go. There's always one brave person.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
There's always one question.
Oh, we got one from the 7th row who came up here.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir. On a practical level, if you are proposing a project that has potential, using AI that has potential to displace somebody or multiple people, how do you approach that with your company to ensure that you want to retain those people who might be affected?
Yeah, so one, whenever we talk about GenAI, we know it's going to change something. It's going to either displace somebody or it's going to enable the work of that particular person. So the first thing is the validity of that particular statement that, is GenAI really capable of doing certain tasks which we expect a human to do? That's the first validity, because you don't want to jump the gun right there, right? Once you establish that, that's all about change management and communication, right? And retraining. Because one thing you got to make sure, and we always do that in Cognizant, is, there are always underperformers, right, within the company. That 5% or 10% of the underperformers goes through a rigorous cycle of, we got to fix that underperformance event and then enable that. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. What GenAI can bring to the table is enable them to become more productive. Now, knowing that we can make them more productive, GenAI becomes more of an equalizer than anything else. So as long as we are able to pivot to that kind of ways of working, beautiful, right? And again, as I said, things are inevitable. If we see the impact on some individual, we got to prep him up. We got to obviously train him, coach him, and hopefully he can do better tasks than what he was doing what he or she was doing in the past, right? So that's how we approach it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me add you with one more example there. Sorry to stop you there. Yeah, so many organizations, I missed to highlight it in the slide, but many organizations are looking at redesigning the job function itself within them to be able to accommodate about the job roles which are going to be looked at with less tasks for them to perform, right? Because 64% of the automation comes and takes over a person's job. How can I redesign the job function itself for a user? That's one way they're looking at. The second example, what Vivek said is, right, this assessment, we applied to our own organization, 350,000 employee organization. You may think about how challenging it's going to be. What we found as an outcome is more than 38% was impactful, becoming more productive, which were originally less productive, right? However, the GenAI did not change the impact factor for those who are already being considered more productive. It was only at less than 9% to 10%. Why? This is what called equalizer, right? Organizations are looking at how do I bring in equalizer between those non-functional people to functional people, make them equal. That's a shift the organizations are changing into. Thank you. I think you have a question here. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. Great presentation. I have a question on the slide that you showed on customer service specifically and applications of Gen AI in that area. Is there any data available from, I know there are some companies that already have these implementations, the customer feedback from that? You mentioned a bit from the associate point of view. I'm curious, are customers finding these new interactions to be more or less helpful than current?
Right. So let me reiterate your question to make sure I understand it correct. So you're asking about how GenAI is helping an end customer getting benefits while the organizations are leveraging using them. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm assuming from like a customer service point of view, the customer actually dialing in, or whether I guess it's a chat bot or whatever is being used, is that experience better or worse for the customer than current?
Well, the first answer is if I call somebody, if a robot is answering it, I don't like it. I'll be transparent, right? But is it helping me? Yes. So the way I'm looking at, we have built some models which does not make it look like you're chatting and giving information. you can actually get the bot to validate the pre-qualification questions all fast. You don't necessarily put the bot in front to answer you, but then validate your individual person who's calling and blah, blah, blah. So it cut down a big cycle and then takes you to, hey, I just wanted to talk to and register a problem. The bot takes care of quick. So your wait time is much lesser than what a bot would have actually made you wait. The models are getting developed. There's no more traditional way of, bot answering to you or taking you to a journey which doesn't give you an end answer. Today, it's all much advanced. So maybe sometime when you have time, walk to the booth, we'll talk about very close examples where customers are leveraging the way answers are being given, right? You can say that I have tried 5 examples and I keep failing. I wanted a final direct answer. The bot directly says what to be done and then give you a direct way of answering. So it's no more the old, bots which are like the low-hanging fruit customers tried. Now they are expanding into various things. And I have leaders who are from, specific areas who can help you walk you through that. Thank you.
I have to add this, right? Chewy is one of the, has been our customers in the past. Now, people call with their pet problem. How cool it is, as soon as the person calls in, exactly at the same time, something is popping on the screen of a customer service representative to talk about everything that has happened with that individual in the past. Because this is pets are the most close to humans than ever. So if somebody is calling with a problem with the pet, and the guy on the other side, it's human in this case, knows everything and anything about that person because the data has been populated so fast with the right context for that individual so that he or she can respond and then empathize with the situation of that individual. Nothing is greater than that. Now, in that case, if instead of a human, if a machine is answering that question, maybe the empathy will be there, maybe not. I'm sure in future that empathy factor will come in the machine's way of doing it. Because today also, if I get a spam call, 80% of the spam calls, believe me, and we all know that are through machines. But still, as experienced I think I am, or I consider myself to be, I still think 5% or 10% is humans. Because the way they take a pause and they've started interacting, because the things are evolving, right? So at some point, maybe we will get close affinity with, yes, it's a machine, but we can still engage in a meaningful conversation. Because as soon as we think it's machine, we stop talking to that. But at some point, yes, it will happen. So you answer your question, yes, customers are reacting in a different ways. As long as we are able to really, help them with their queries and their concerns, whether it's a machine or human, I think it's moving in the right direction. But yeah, you're right. I mean, so, not everybody is happy with, hey, I called 10 times every time the machine picks up, right? I need to talk to humans. I mean, slowly over a period of time, I think it's changing, but we're a long way from, totally removing the human interaction, right? Of course, so that may never happen, hopefully. So we also wanted to let you know our booth. Booth number is what? Yeah. No, is there a booth number for it? Okay, it's just Cognizant, right? So, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question.
Sure.
So you said that jobs will not go away, but we'll still have to adapt in the future because of Gen AI. I kind of see it differently. I think that if one's productivity is increased with Gen AI, so maybe there won't be a huge disruption at the moment, but in the future, as one's productivity increases, companies will need to hire less and less people. So in that case, wouldn't Gen AI take future jobs, not current jobs?
Yeah, so there's also a school of thought where we think 97 million of the new jobs will be created because we got to support the animal called Gen AI, right? So yes, to your point, yes, there will be a reduction in the way humans are doing the current job today. And we all agree it will pivot to maybe, I don't need 20 people in my customer service call center. I may need 4 people. What are those 15 people going to do? Right? They're going to do something hopefully better and different. Now this shift is not going to happen overnight. So as it happens, I think we all agree that we got to pivot to a new ways of working. I mean, I agree with you, right? There will be, disruptions of those magnitudes for sure in some organizations, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the time.
There's one more question, Vivek.
No, absolutely. I love it.
One quick question.
4 questions, yeah.
So my question is more related to any, in the previously you might have seen any third part, this kind of software solutions. At what point of time a company should make a decision whether they should build their own model in-house or they should go for the third-party company to implement this AI-related feature in their company?
Okay, it's a philosophical question, man. I mean, collaboration is the key to the success of every company. Now, if there is a model that is happening which is successful, now I should adopt it because these guys are realizing the success. But can I trust the model because it's still a black box? I don't know what's happening inside. Now, it's the same thing. If I go to my partners and say, I have a solution which is proven in another retailer, and here is the example and the proof of it, can you take it and take it? Because I'm going to do the same thing for you. They will ask 100 questions. They will like to understand what model it is. Can I trust the model or not before they close their eyes and take it? I think that element does not change with LLMs and whatnot, right? If there's a model which is successful, everybody is leveraging it, it doesn't mean I'm going to leverage it. As long as somebody is able to prove to me this model does X, Y, Z thing, open the black box and tell me, yes, this is what is happening. You don't have to recreate the model, but you do have to understand the model before I embrace it. That's the philosophy that everybody will continue to operate, right? But opportunities to collaborate and partner is huge. You don't want to write an LLM model because these are created by these companies who really master that. All you need to do is figure out, can I trust the model? For that, the transparency, as we said, is super important, right? And obviously somebody's ability to tell you, yes, this is what we are doing. So, that's how I will answer your question. I hope I answered it, right, the way you were thinking.
The other question I have is about the security of the data, because there's a lot of company, even if you see in the retail industry, they don't want their data to be shared or used by anybody else. So how do we build an AI solution, making sure that even the data which is inside the company is shared by the people who have the enough rights or access?
I'll take that question. Yeah. So organizations are looking at private LLMs. That's a straight answer, right? Very less likely they are looking at to leverage opening up their data source, which is kind of pulling up, right? The two reasons why they always think about it. One is hallucination, right? When you actually use the open source, you are looking at your data model to be rail-guarded more than what you generally have to do, which means your data is not secured. Second is it is not, giving you the straight answers. So private LLM models are the one. And also to your previous question, there is no end for completion of that LLM model and the decision of that LLM model to be private or build or rather, leverage one of it. For example, Vivek mentioned that Oxford study 2.0 is getting launched. I'll just give you the reason why 2.0 is coming up. All the study and assessment we did on the 10,000 jobs on 18,000 tasks, that's based on the current models that are available, which are kind of helping to automate the task. The models are getting more, and then there are developments happening, which means within this 1 year period of time, there are so many new models launched and so many tasks which are getting automated, which means if we don't redo that assessment, that percentage what we measured last is not going to be the same. It's going to go fast. So that's one of the reasons. So there is no end. That's what probably I would leave it to. Thank you. We do have one more question, Vivek.
Yeah, please, absolutely. We are good.
Sure.
I have all the time.
So since the convention has started, there's pretty much been a consistent keyword being used, a buzzword, I would say, and that's AI. A lot of the premises of what AI is built upon is the foundational models of being able to take big data and then conceptualize that into a network model. What is, from your guys' perspective, from an insider point of view on AI development, is being taken as the fundamental practice for cybersecurity? One of the things that I see with being AI as being a serious concern is the fact that it is consuming such large amounts of data that it kind of potentially exposes the people that are the sources of that data from potential abuse of power. Is that something that's being discussed in the AI community, or is that kind of something that's being an afterthought?
Well, very honestly, it's a technical question for me to answer. I will probably pass it there. But if the question is primarily about it's a lot of data and then security is being a big concern, how to handle it, I would say organizations are...
What do you meant? The security concern?
No, that was it. As far as my question.
Okay, yeah. No, I was just validating if the question was about the security of the data as to how do we put that amount of data with people whom we can't trust. Is that what it was?
More so that, so AI with really the extent of what it's going to be capable of, especially if you start to take into consideration the dynamics of quantum computing and when those two start integrating together, the capacity of AI to be able to take data and then manipulate it into usable information in ways that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do so. For example, things like the future of encryption, right? When you start to integrate an AI model with quantum computing, the capacity of today's encryption becomes null and void, right? And so you have a situation where in the future, right, data that would otherwise be considered private becomes more exposed in a public format. Is there something that is being done inside of the AI community to try and prevent something from like that from occurring?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, guys, I mean, it's a little bit of philosophical, a little bit of everybody in the world has to come together to agree on how do we use AI for future, right? I mean, those rules, regulations are still being formed, right? When cryptocurrency happened, people really thought, what the hell is happening to the world? And there should be some regulatory body who should control it because otherwise it will just go. I mean, the same thing is happening here. Everybody is thinking about it. Now, where is a governing body that can enforce if this XYZ company is creating these models which could be dangerous to the society, so we should kill it? We are not there yet. But now it's our job as mature individuals to figure out and ensure those models or those practices are coming about so that we don't misuse that. Because like what I said, right? I'm doing a Gen AI study, Oxford is doing it. I'm putting LLM models to do this study on Gen AI itself. So Gen AI is capable of creating even a smarter version of itself. We all know that, right? I mean, the end is limitless. So yes, sooner we put that into practice, better it is. Yes, we are seeing those things. Every big organization is really embracing it very, very smartly and carefully, right? It takes a mountain to move a Gen AI small use case within a large organization, months or sometimes, days, months, weeks, because they don't trust it till they think, yes, I can trust the output because I understand what's happening inside, right? So I think that's the way to go after it. Hopefully, I'm sure there is a regulatory board that's coming in which will dictate things in the future and maybe prevent things from going in the wrong direction. That's all happening as we speak, right? So thank you for that.
I'll tell you what, next year, if you are going to be here, there's going to be a new topic called regenerative AI. We heard in the past AI. You heard in this session generative AI. Next year and onwards, it's going to be regenerative AI. It's just nothing but self-learning, self-qualifying, self-testing, and self-resolving its own quality issues. That's advancement which is happening. It's not well spoken by many people, but many researchers are already working on it on a regenerative AI. Very soon, that's what it's going to be. Today, generative AI is only creating the data, not about recreating and recorrecting itself. We are not at it. Someone else is already doing that. So there is no end for it. We probably are going to see a lot of transformation coming up in the next year. Thank you.
Yes, Brendan is waiting.
All right,
Brendan.
everybody, let's give a round of applause for the Cognizant crew. Thanks, gentlemen.